All right, Smirnoff, official vodka of the NFL, world's #1 vodka. Chris Cody, you're with me here.
Smirnoff!
Wow, you're on the money with Smirnoff.
Smirnoff!
I'm going to ask you, Chris, what's your favorite game day food?
Smirnoff!
That's your favorite game day drink. What's your favorite game day food?
Smirnoff!
All right, here's the deal. Game day is everything. The noise, the rituals, the passion, the dip, the wings, the dip again.
Smirnoff!
Smirnoff belongs in that mix because if you're tailgating or hosting or just sitting there checking your fantasy lineup every 30 seconds, you need Smirnoff. Otherwise, it's not a real game day. They've been doing it since 1864, which is, I don't even want to do the math. It's a long time. It's like when Greg Cody was born. They're award-winning. They make cocktails super easy, and they're all about bringing fans together. So yeah, we do game days. That's their thing. And if you're over 21, you should too. Why, Chris?
Smirnoff!
Grab a bottle of
Smirnoff!
at your local retailer and head to Smirnoff.com to find recipes of delicious cocktails perfect for game day.
Smirnoff!
Please drink responsibly.
Smirnoff!
Number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume, the
Smirnoff!
Company. New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
Smirnoff!
Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. In 1795, Cuervo invented tequila.
Cuervo.
What are you doing here?
Cuervo. Anytime someone says Cuervo, I show up.
Well, I do know that to be true, but even during ad reads, like...
Cuervo.
I think you could lay out, especially for one of our great partners.
Sweet, delicious Cuervo.
Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. The same family, the same land, the same passion.
Cuervo.
So, enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo.
Cuervo.
The tequila that invented tequila. Proximo. Cuervo.com. Please drink responsibly.
Cuervo.
At Sierra, discover joyous deals on great gifts for everyone on your list. Like cozy slippers, ski gear, fishing poles, bikes, large kayaks, even larger canoes. Whew. Which might lead to another discovery. Wrapping gifts is the only sport you need to stay fit this season. 'Tis the season to discover great gifts at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Is Mike DePasquale a local legend?
No.
Ooh, there's some longevity there.
Pretty sure he was a local legend last week. Yeah. This is a sliding scale.
I don't think I asked him about
DePasquale
sure. last week. How about
because
I specifically remember being asked and not answering.
Because if someone mentions Steve Shapiro, like I'm right there with a DePasquale. It's like Batman and Robin.
Whoa, you got to give Steve Shapiro a local legend.
I'm not calling him Robin. I'm saying in terms of tandems.
Right.
You got to give Steve Shapiro local legend. You have to. And if you have to give it to him, DePasquale's been doing it longer. No? At this point? Shapiro retired a few years ago.
Yeah, but Shapiro, no, I think Shapiro's still.
I think we could look that up. But before we do that, Channing Crowder?
No.
Ooh, that was quick.
Whatever, man.
Is he speaking for like the committee?
You gave O.J. McDuffie local legend and not Channing Crowder.
Yeah, O.J.'s an all-time great Dolphin receiver.
Crowder's a legend.
Yeah, but no, this wasn't about... Wait a minute.
It plays a part.
You gave McDuffie local legend based on the playing career?
It plays a part.
Well, but nobody else we were talking about had...
Crowder had that fumble return. That was a big one. Dan was like, all season, he doesn't touch the football. And then Channing Crowder touched the football in a big spot.
I heard a great story the other day. It was great about Steve Smith. 15 years ago, okay, Channing Crowder is running across the middle, and Steve Smith blindsides him. It's not even a legal block anymore. And Channing Crowder goes sliding on his back like 10 yards. And when he gets up, because it was like a wet field, when he gets up, he told Steve Smith, anytime I see you anywhere around the world, I'm going to bleep you up. Anytime I see you, he says this to Steve Smith.
That's called on site.
Yes, it is now. It wasn't then. It's called on site now, but he was saying, I'm going to bleep you up. And so 15 years later, Steve Smith sees Channing Crowder across a mall somewhere and starts to take off his hat and his wristwatch and starts to take off his shirt because he's assuming if I see you 15 years later. And Channing Crowder, who was a notorious badass, like people feared Channing Crowder. He like wrestled boars in the offseason. Channing Crowder was like, oh, no, I don't hold the grudges that long. Like, I don't. Channing Crowder's like, that's funny. And Steve Smith's like, no, I would have fought. I would have fought 15 years
In a
later.
mall?
In a mall, just seeing someone.
You know what on site means?
Well, didn't you say, but Steve Smith was reminding him, didn't you say that it was on site any other time? Like, Steve Smith did that to get him to back down in a mall, or they could have fought, or like Steve Smith.
Must have been the expensive part of Sawgrass.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
The worst the worst feeling a team can have locally in a market is that its fans don't care. So if you get angry, that's better than fans not caring. I got angry at the Dolphins yesterday for making me watch that and forcing me to have to talk about that today when I'd like to talk about the University of Miami and Inter Miami playing a championship game and Aaron Rodgers very much looking at this stage of his career like somebody in a Survivor movie who is being hunted by humans. You tell me I'm wrong when I say that at the point, like he's got a cast on his arm, he's got blood all over his face, and he's looking around like, what am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And it's because the AFC is that bad. Cincinnati's in the mix at 4-8. They're in the mix. Cincinnati's legitimately in the mix. But I was mad at the Dolphins yesterday, Zaz, for making me watch any of that and deserving to lose it. And the Saints are god awful. Like, who are these people? Who Vele? You got a quarterback with 2 H's in his name. You cannot win with one of those. You cannot.
Good point.
You've got a kicker who does not have a vowel in his name, in his last name of any kind. No vowel. Who were those people? You've got a guy named Stutzman hitting H-hand cleaner than anyone's ever hit him. And I'm mad the entire time at my television. I don't want to be watching any of this. Holy shit, too is bad. We're going to do this for another 16 games.
How do you pronounce that, Shuck? I don't get it.
Shock.
Doesn't look like Shuck.
It should be Shaw.
Shock. Tyler Shock.
The Dolphins should have lost that game. Olive,
Why?
They hit
Why
him
should they have
No,
lost?
they hit him in the hands.
It's
Like,
Olave, a Cuban catching touchdowns in Miami. That was a good moment for us.
How did he not catch that ball?
The Saints had the game in their best. Their only good players. Kamara's not playing.
Olive.
Did you make a Miguel Olivo?
One Cuban wide receiver. Get his name right.
They should have lost that game. And I don't actually want to talk about it, except the despair of the Dolphin fan around Tua must be so large because that game was torture to watch. I understand in that league, 6 of the 7 games in the 1 o'clock window, a lot of bad football. 6 of the 7 games, 1-score game in the fourth quarter. So, of course, I don't know how that league does it. I really don't. How these shitty teams that Tennessee is the only one yesterday that's getting slaughtered, or Minnesota on its 7th quarterback is the only one that's getting slaughtered. So all the games are going to be close. But if you're fighting that way to beat the Saints at home, you stink.
Yeah, well, we know the Dolphins stink, but I had a different experience than you watching that Dolphin game yesterday because I was watching it on an airplane home from Norman yesterday. So if you could find a way to watch your favorite team on the airplane, like you're just, oh, thank God I got something to watch here.
It's a great feeling.
Yeah, so like I didn't have that experience.
Yeah, but you're trapped. Okay, so you've got 3 hours of entertainment, and it's
Right.
not like you're going to read a book. Like you're going to sit there.
I don't look like I read. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Did you watch that football game in Norman?
Yeah, of
You
course.
stayed for the game?
I left at halftime.
Yeah, I would too.
I left
It was
at
a
halftime.
terrible football.
I watched the rest of the game at the hotel
all right.
bar.
Awful.
So let's get there quickly because Oklahoma's not better than Miami. I've watched both of these teams all year. All Oklahoma has is a defensive line. If they got a quarterback with a broken hand, like they cannot do anything offensively.
Yeah.
They have no chance to win the championship. But Miami's better than BYU. Miami's better than Utah. Miami is better than Oklahoma. Miami is better than both of the teams playing in the ACC championship game. You cannot have a system that does this. And all of a sudden, the ACC, you know what it is? It's a small conference.
That ACC title game's an abomination.
You're treating the ACC now like a tiny conference.
Manny Diaz.
Come
on, that's funny, him getting that.
Manny Diaz playing in a championship game before Miami does in the ACC. That's insanity.
It's ridiculous.
That's Duke.
Even Manny's got to be like,
Look,
what?
Look, Look, what's going to happen to Miami here, this is unbelievable. It really is, okay? Malachi Toney is an unprecedented player in the history of the program. There's never been a guy who can catch the ball one-handed and be a jitterbug in the open field and beat you deep, and also he's going to be the greatest non-passing statistical quarterback they have in the history of the program. He's a threat in so many ways. You must see him in the top 12. Like, this is clearly one of the 12 best teams in the country. Don't give me computers. Don't give me voters. Don't give me anything. Anyone sitting in front of a television, if I show you the 8 games the Hurricanes have won by 17 or more points, and in a way that physically ravages opponents like South Florida, a very good opponent. I know the ACC is bad, but Miami is clearly and obviously, to the eye, and anyone who's ever watched football would say, yes, that's got draft picks all over the field. That's one of the 12 best teams in the country. It's not half a team like, it's not even half a team like Oklahoma. It's all Oklahoma is pass rush. They don't have anything else.
We were so close to this not even being an issue. If LSU wins that game, like, it's over. Canes are in.
There have been about 36 games over the last 3 weeks that Miami needed.
But that was like
help
the one.
with.
That was the one.
Auburn too.
Auburn's been doing that all year to us. Like, you come on, War Eagle, one time.
But LSU was up like all game in Norman this weekend.
Yeah. It's weird. Eye test doesn't seem to apply to SEC teams. Miami got held out of the CFP, rightfully so, because their defense was a disaster. Oklahoma's offense is every bit that kind of disaster, but they're going to get in. Miami's going to get screwed out of this one. I think it's pretty obvious now that they've conditioned the audience and the nation to normalize head-to-head not mattering and all these other arguments. Bring in the computers. Miami's got very good advanced stats. Well, stat rating's very good. But like, there isn't a big gulf between Miami's numbers and the other teams. We're already used to Miami being left out of this discussion. They've spent the last month doing that.
All right, let's do this way, okay? Because you can tell me, if you've watched all of the football this year, you can tell me you think the ACC stinks, and that's fine. I'd argue that over the course of what happens to these teams during a season, Louisville and SMU now are not the same team they were when they played Miami. Like, these games are physical. Justin Herbert's out there with one hand. Like, you understand, or I understood the last 2 weeks of what I've seen of Louisville football is not that Louisville is bad, it's that they got healthy against Kentucky. Louisville's very good. That's not a bad loss to lose to Louisville, but I understand how it is. People look at this conference and are now treating it, when you have Duke and Manny Diaz playing in the championship game and Miami still never played in one of those. You can't tell me Mario Cristobal hasn't fixed this. I'm seeing one of the best teams in the country. Like, I'm watching it every week. It's not just that they're interesting. They've got a team that was built to win a playoff. This is as balanced a team as there is in the country. Yes, they lost a one-score game against SMU in overtime. So that game, the entire conference is basically coming down to SMU was in the playoff last year, and now SMU beats you in overtime because they pick off a ball, and it's one play, and it's the worst loss you have in 2 seasons. It's 6 points because in 2 years, Miami will have lost 4 games and not be in either playoff. That doesn't make any sense to anybody rational who's ever watched football. Like, just, and never mind if you haven't seen the last 2 years, just on the history of what football is, you don't do this to this program because you got to get BYU. And I saw BYU dragged by Texas Tech. Like, I saw Texas Tech. There are 3 teams in the country that have beaten people 17 or more, okay? It is Texas Tech. It's Ohio State, defense obviously championship good. And when you look at what's happening to Miami, you see what's happening here, right? Utah is one of those teams. Utah also dragged by Texas Tech because Texas Tech is good enough to beat anybody, but so's Miami. Like, that I can't say that of many teams. I could say it of Ohio State. I could say it maybe of Indiana, but you've just made college football so different that Ohio State, Indiana for the championship there doesn't matter at all.
You could say it about Notre Dame, too. Notre Dame's very good.
Ohio State and Indiana are playing a game, and it doesn't matter at all. That would have been the biggest of all big games, and now it's not even a playoff game. It's a game that doesn't matter because they could all rest their players.
Well, no, because you're not guaranteed to get the bye if you lose the Big Ten championship game. That's important.
Okay, fine. You get the bye. Ohio State shows you that they don't play close games. They haven't played anybody. They will win with defense. They might be half a team, too, for all I can tell. Like, there are a lot of in college and pros and injured. There's a lot of flaws. This is the most wide open NFL we've seen. Is it not? Like, where the AFC, you've got, if I had told you before the season, the top of the conference, Broncos, Patriots, Bears, nobody has that, right?
Right.
No, nobody has. If I had told you before the season, San Francisco's going to have that many injuries, but they're coming in at the bottom of the NFC at 9-4. At 9-4, they're the bottom of the NFC, while Bengals 4-8 in the mix. Football at the highest level is a bunch of people being hurt, and now us playing random ball as the Colts might miss the playoffs because look at their schedule the next 5 games.
Dolphins are 1 game worse than the Chiefs.
Daniel Jones has a broken what?
Broken fibula?
I feel like you need one of those.
It seems like you would have them not broken would be the best way to play football.
I know we kind of moved on the NFL here, but it's just at some point I'm going to need someone to explain this tiebreaker thing and how Duke is in this ACC championship game.
It's a joke.
Have you seen who they beat in the ACC? They beat I think Clemson's their best win. Have they beaten any of the teams that they're tied with?
You have
how's head-to-head not?
Chris, you have an ACC championship game which features 2 teams in it. Neither of those 2 teams has a win over the top 5 in the conference. You have a team in Virginia that lost to NC State that doesn't count in the conference, and you have a team in Duke that lost to UConn that's 7-5, and again played nobody.
Dan, if Duke wins the ACC championship,
come on,
it is a very real thing that there are going to be 2 group of 5 teams in the playoffs and not the Hurricanes.
Okay, so I know that people hearing this, and I would not blame them for this, all they would hear in my voice of this biased show is some form of the wonderful tears that you've wanted emotionally, because all of this is ridiculous. Like, we're doing it with judges, we're doing it with scorecards, it's gymnastics, it's made for television boxing, it's nonsense. We are at a point in 2025 where we've distorted this thing so much that anybody who's watched college football this year would just simply tell you, watching all of the games, Miami is one of the 12 best teams in the country, clearly, physically. They've got something that feels a little professional, offensive line and defensive line. They've lost 2 games to Rhett Lashley, to 2 of the best coaches in Brom, and that's going to happen to Mario at least once a year. We didn't expect to happen twice, but we know that's going to happen to Mario at least once a year, and SMU and Louisville. Louisville gets a 4-interception game, 3 great interceptions. There's just no one who's watched college football this year who wouldn't look and say, I don't care what the computers say. Miami is clearly one of the 12 best teams in the country. It's obvious.
And Miami's offense looks way different. We knew we were fearful headed into that SMU game that you have your tendencies, you're pretty predictable, you're trying to win these games in close margins when you're the more talented team. Also absent from the national discussion was one of the worst officiated games that we've seen for a very poorly officiated conference. But I'm happy that we've got back-to-back 10-win seasons. Mario Cristobal has done what he set out to do, even though everybody that you would ask before the season is, it's got to be either playoffs or Charlotte. The fact that you're sitting at 10 wins and you're neither in the playoff nor in Charlotte is something worth criticizing, but it was a great season. A lot of people stuck their neck out over the last 4 weeks.
You're waving the white flag.
No, I'm not. No.
That sounds like you're waving the white flag.
What I'm saying is, welcome to the watch. You guys got it from here. I was ranting, raving, sticking my neck out, terrified that this team would fall on its face in November like they do every year. Mario Cristobal had my back. This team looks incredible. It's playing its best football. And now I'd much rather Dan Lebitard do the yelling and shouting. And Jonathan Zaslow, welcome to the party.
Folks, fuel your game day with the unbeatable crunch of Hampton Farms, the official peanut of bowl season. Perfect for sharing with friends, tailgating outside the stadium, or cheering from the couch. Grab a bag from the produce aisle of your local grocery store and savor the game 1 peanut at a time. Let's get nutty.
It's the holidays and the 50th anniversary of Miller Lite. The holidays are all about gathering around with family and friends, so why don't you bring out a cornucopia of that beautiful white can Miller Lite, or draft, whatever it is. You know it's going to be a special time when you bring out Miller Lite, because Miller Lite makes special time Miller time. Whether it's a late-night hang after the holiday party or standing around a fire pit with the fam, Miller Lite just fits. It's a taste you know you can depend on. Brewed for flavor with simple ingredients like malted barley, rich balanced toffee notes, and that iconic golden color. And at 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces, it lets you enjoy the season without weighing you down. The original light beer since 1975 and still hitting different 50 years later. The best holiday beers are the ones you don't expect. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. 'Tis Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Doug. Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu, is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Don Batard.
Yeah, it's not my favorite rejoin.
Context needs to be applied.
Going for a joke, and
I thought the context was applied.
We'd like to rip that out of context. I was going for a thing. Yeah. And I have a family.
You're gonna pretend here that you don't love Matthew Tkachuk more than you love anybody you've ever loved?
I don't love Matthew Tkachuk more than my daughter.
Stugotz.
Now it's pretty damn close.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Did Chuckle help out at all this weekend?
He did, from what I was told.
They learned their lesson. There was like a 3 or 4 minute stretch late in that game where Miami fans would have been rubbing their nipples listening to it.
Okay.
They were like, one of the best teams in the country, the eye test, this is the performance they needed. They were saying all the things that they didn't say last week.
Look, I will say a couple of things that I found interesting about the last couple of weeks of coverage. If you were listening to this show and listening to the end of that broadcast where poor Louis Riddick and Bob Wischusen had to descend into the muck, they've got an uninteresting game. Miami is dragging Pittsburgh by the neck around the field. What do we talk about? Oh, I know. Chuckle will show that he's been influenced by Mike Ryan and his co-conspirators. Lou Riddick will be asked all sorts of questions that put Lou Riddick in the corner where both of them were saying, yeah, Miami's one of the best teams in the country, obviously, again and again. Louis Riddick is saying of Malachi Toney, he's saying, no, this is the best there is. He's like, this is the very best of special, the way that they're using this football player on the field. And you heard in the broadcast that Chuckle and Lou Riddick had been bought and paid for by the Miami propaganda arm.
Or Miami just played better that game, and they're saying what they see.
No, that's not the way Chuckle was talking a week ago. It is
they
not.
They looked like shit against Virginia Tech.
Okay, well, you said it, and it's not true. But they
didn't look great. Maybe not. I mean, somewhere in the middle between shit and great.
Again, I will just give you the stat again. There are 4 teams in the country that have won this many games by 17 plus. Those 4 teams are not Indiana. Indiana's not one of them. It's Ohio State, it's Texas Tech, it's Utah, and it's Miami. So on the full slate of whatever their schedule is, if you think it's that much weaker than Ohio State's or all those frauds in the SEC, it's not.
Am I wrong in thinking this is an apples to oranges comparison? But
apples to oranges.
This feels like the 2000 season where Miami lost to Washington but beat Florida State, but it was Florida State that ended up going to the national championship.
Totally
and lost.
different
what
system.
A memory.
No, this is the history of Roy. Roy's got it exactly right, of course. And Roy is sitting here saying, you were this upset 20 years ago, Dan. You cared like this 20 years ago. And it is the last time I cared about this because this is clearly a wrong. It's just...
That year was the all-time bullshit.
But Zaz, when I simply say, okay, it's always been about judges and, voters and influence. I saw many years Nick Saban pleading on television, just running propaganda everywhere where Nick Saban, was doing interviews that I thought were beneath him because he realized that part of the job was this time of year, the way to get into the playoffs with judges is argue your way in. Get in the most old-fashioned way. Argue. So I saw Mario Cristobal with Mike Ryan in his ear. I saw Mario Cristobal. He gets the post-game interview, and he doesn't care what the question is. His only job here
TV time.
Is to swagger in front of the microphones and say out of nowhere, no one asked him about Notre Dame. No one asked him about head-to-head. He just went straight in, and the only God-given American thing that I know about football is that head-to-head matters.
It would have been great if instead of actually letting her ask asked the question. He just took the microphone. Wrestling style.
He should have.
All right, my turn.
He practically did.
Mario's a big-time old-school 80s wrestling guy, too. He learned from the best.
Chris, do we have, I know our computers have been buffering. There have been some video. Okay, so that's not helpful to me now. Is Jeremy ready in the other room? Because Jeremy has been listening to us talk the entire time, lest you think that this will only be Miami bias. Roy, file that away. I want to come back to, yes, we've always been doing it this way, but this will be one of history's great wrongs when it comes to this program. It would have another championship if not for instant replay not yet being around when Cleveland Gary was fumbling at the goal line. Before Alabama, Miami was in the position that Alabama was, where they were the ones with all the pros.
Miami's legitimately got 3 national titles that they were boned out of.
We could probably say that about most big programs.
No, not 3. No, not one.
Notre Dame in
not there's a
93.
penalty flag in the air. Like just one call decides a championship. Not very often, but. This is the best team I've seen since those teams. Last year's was not. It had the best player. Cam Ward made that the best offense. What I've seen from Miami this year has been championship good. I believe this team can beat anyone and also lose to a well-coached team that's a 2-touchdown favorite, as they did twice this year. But Jeremy has been eating it for weeks on the Miami subject, and Jeremy has had no room whatsoever to make the argument on behalf of everyone else. So I've told him, please, put your notes outside over there, and you tell me what you think when I can go to it. So he's been in this Kevin Spacey in 7 kind of manifesto stage of arguing the other side of this. Where am I wrong, Jeremy, on anything I've said over the course of these 25 minutes?
And how do you feel about the Kevin Spacey comparison?
I was going to say you're wrong on invoking Kevin Spacey's name. We could have done literally anything else. But look, there are 5 automatic qualifiers, right? You're going to have OSU, UGA, Texas Tech, Virginia, if they beat Duke, and then the winner of Tulane and North Texas. And then in terms of at-large bids, Dan, you tried to make the argument that Oklahoma doesn't deserve to be there over Miami. They have 2 losses. Those are to number 5 Ole Miss and number 14 Texas, with wins over number 10 Bama and Missouri, which I know how Mike Ryan feels about the AP. We don't even have to count number 25 Missouri, but they do have a top 10 win there. Better losses than Miami does, tougher schedule. When we're bidding for numbers 11 and 12, I think the first team that you have to mention, Dan, BYU. They have 1 loss this season. It's to number 5 Texas Tech. If they have a second loss, it'll be to the same team in their conference championship game because they actually made it to their conference championship game. They also have 2 top 25 wins, with wins over number 15 Utah and number 21 Arizona. So we have to include BYU.
We have to.
You have to include BYU. It would make no sense in terms of resume when you're looking at each and every one of these when you're nitpicking. Even if they lose to Texas Tech.
That's crazy.
2 losses, both to a top 5 team.
They're going to get dragged by Texas Tech.
That's fine.
They're going to get dragged the same way they were last time. Texas Tech is a good deal better than BYU.
That's right. And I think Miami, you would make the argument, is a good deal better than SMU or Louisville, but they lost both of those games to unranked teams. I want you to look at the rest of these resumes here, Dan.
This Texas Tech team is the best Texas Tech team I've ever seen. It's better than anything that Michael Crabtree was doing at the top of when they were beating Texas. Like, this is the best Texas Tech team there's ever been, and they're going to drag BYU again. Anyway, continue.
Well, you're making the argument on behalf of BYU then, because if their loss is to a better team, if Texas Tech is maybe the best team in the country, the best Texas Tech team ever, those 2 losses to Texas Tech shouldn't knock you down so much. So to me, BYU is an obvious number 11 there. But when you look at the rest of these teams, you've got Miami. Now let's start looking at losses. Obviously, they have the head-to-head win over Notre Dame. But when you start looking at losses...
Hold on just a second. Let me influence you a little bit before you get going too much further. Here's Mario Cristobal getting a question after the game, ignoring it entirely and just chirping Mike Ryan's thoughts into a microphone.
Well, the fact that this is a college football playoff team. I think we've all seen it. We know it. Proud of the way our guys came out, dominated from start to finish. And certainly we left a lot of points on the board as well. But, we're really starting to click. We're getting some guys healthy. We still didn't have our top corner back, and he's going to be back in about a week. Our defensive tackle is still out, so we're looking at even getting way better here in the next couple weeks.
You didn't want to stump for your team until this game was over. For the selection committee watching today, what do you hope that they saw out of Miami football?
Complete dominance. A team that just we've got great players in all phases, and we're playing great football in all phases. And you know what? The best part about football, you get to settle it on the field, where head-to-head is always the number one criteria for anything regarding athletics and football.
I appreciate the time. Congratulations.
Go Kings.
No one asked him about that. It was good to see the floating head of Ed Hudak still protecting coaches. Let's put that up on the screen so people could see that. Ed Hudak has been doing this for coaches for a long time, protecting them from all people around them who might be scary. Look at that. That is the face of football for real. Yes, go ahead and do that close up because people do not know this. But look, Mario Cristobal always has Ed Hudak whispering things like
over
that
his shoulder
in his ear. Yes, look, that man has.
Hey, what's up with that question?
He protected Mario's coaches. That guy protected Mario's coaches. And that guy has been in his ear, and he's proud of Mario right there. Just went full.
You could tell the handshake that guy's got.
Oh, my God.
Rip your wrist clean off.
Put it on the poll at Batard Show. Will Ed Hudak rip your wrist clean off with a handshake? And he will. He's been law enforcement for this town. Do you know the scars that leaves? They're protecting that program for 40 years. You know how many times Dennis Erickson had to be driven home?
Black Friday savings are here at the Home Depot, which means it's time to add new cordless power to your collection. Right now, when you buy a select battery kit from one of our top brands like Ryobi or Milwaukee, you'll get a select tool from that same brand for free. Click into one of our best deals of the season and stock up on tools for all your upcoming projects. Get Black Friday savings happening now at the Home Depot. Limit 1 per transaction. Exclusions apply. Full eligible tool list in-store and online.
Dan Le Batard.
It sounds to me like everybody could use a hug because a hug is always the right size.
Stugotz.
All I have put in my body today is 3 cups of coffee and an entire cup of honey.
Go to the penalty box.
Don't let him fool you. He said in the break that he's jittery.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Ed Hudak has been protecting coaches in this market for 50 years. And Mario Cristobal did him proud with his team and his argument. But let's go back out to Jeremy to see if he can argue the other side of this.
Well, he's just looking at head-to-head, Dan. There are several other teams that qualify here. I already mentioned BYU should be the 11. You have Alabama. Now, they lost to FSU. That's a tough look. Their other loss to Oklahoma, they could end up with a third loss to Georgia in this scenario. It's going to be tough to overcome that, in my personal opinion, despite their 3 top 25 wins. But there's 2 teams you can look at here, Dan. Let's start with James Madison. Now, they have 1 loss this season. They will be a conference champion with 1 loss. That loss, Dan, to Louisville, a team that you all are trying to convince me is not a playoff eliminating loss for Miami, despite the fact that they also lost to unranked SMU. James Madison as a conference champion with a dominant win over Old Dominion. Old Dominion, Dan, who beat Virginia Tech by 30-plus points, a win that Miami is trying to hold up as a great win over the last month, showing you the type of team that they are.
Keep it moving, Jeremy. Be a professional. The power went out, and you got to just keep going. You got to keep doing show. You got to keep Jeremy, like if we're on live television.
Jeremy, you know about being a professional?
The power went out,
Do
Jeremy.
I know about being a professional? Me.
James Madison is the argument you're going to make.
James Madison absolutely should be there over the University of Miami. But if you want to do it the other way, if you want to do it the other way and not go based off of who's a conference champion, but go based off of who has the best wins, who's beat the best teams, who's actually shown that they can beat playoff teams, that's where you look at Texas. They have a win over number 7, Texas A&M, over number 8, Oklahoma, over number 13, Vanderbilt. Their losses coming to 2 automatic qualifiers in Ohio State and Georgia, there is the tough loss of Florida, but how do we stack up that Florida loss as compared to two unranked losses for Miami?
Jeremy, I don't think you heard me the first time I said this because I haven't heard something from you about Notre Dame yet. Did you hear him the first time he said it?
Head-to-head is always the number one criteria for anything regarding athletics and football.
Well, that's what I'm showing you,
want to put James Madison in there, fine. Take Notre Dame out.
I don't have Notre Dame in there. I have BYU and James Madison as your final two teams getting an at-large
You're
bid
not hearing
over
him.
Notre Dame, over Miami. Head-to-head is irrelevant if Notre Dame also doesn't make it.
It's never irrelevant.
If Notre Dame doesn't make it, that head-to-head
You get one school named after a person. You get one school named after a person. Pick one. Brigham Young or James Madison. You can't put two schools named after a person.
Head-to-head.
If Hudak could help Miami protect the ball, maybe they wouldn't be in this situation.
Put on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show, can you put two people in the playoffs named after a person? Two teams in the playoffs. Because this is James and Madison. Well, this is the other thing. Thank you for doing that again.
Head-to-head.
Do you realize that the only reason Mario Cristobal is not undefeated is because what he believes about football is right at his core is I'm going to try and run up the middle and I'm going to beat you
head-to-head.
Right up the middle with Fletcher.
Head-to-head.
I'm never going to notice that Pringle should be running. It should be Fletcher every time.
Head-to-head.
I'm going to hit you in the face mask.
Head-to-head.
Again, what you got? What do you got, Rhett Lashley? I got this.
Head-to-head.
What do you got?
Head-to-head.
Just straight up the middle.
I got to be honest. I think Mario Cristobal is wrong. I think he's wrong when he says head-to-head matters in everything in athletics and football. I would argue head-to-head matters in so many things outside of athletics and football as well.
For anything regarding athletics and football.
No, just for anything.
For anything.
For anything.
For anything.
Yes.
Not just athletics and football. For anything.
For anything.
If something is going on in the world and there's head-to-head happening, that matters.
For anything.
You know what? You're making good points, but I feel like Jeremy cooked my ass with that James Madison win over Old Dominion. Because that Old Dominion beating Virginia Tech worse than Miami did, like, you're right, man. I'm going to lay my sword down. That one hurt.
I'm not the only one who's talking about wins over teams that other teams didn't play as well. That's been the argument for Miami all the way through, is beating down opponents that maybe other teams couldn't compete against, beating teams that beat other teams. If we're going to constantly be doing the transitive property, you have to look at a team that's a conference champion.
We're not.
And has dominated their entire schedule outside of Louisville, a team that Miami holds up as a loss that is not that bad.
I mean, I hear your point, but we're actually not doing head-to-head, as Mario Cristobal points out, or common opponents. We're doing it literally everywhere in the CFP. If you look throughout the top 15 in the CFP, every single person that is either a common opponent or a head-to-head advantage is ranked against the other, especially if they have the same record. There is one outlier throughout the entire top 15 where common opponents do not matter and head-to-head does not matter. Guess which one that is? Guess. It's the obvious one. It's Miami. Look what they say when they say Notre Dame. They lead with the quality losses. Okay, that's the argument. That's a barometer. Why is Alabama ahead of Miami? All of a sudden, the criteria shifts to quality wins. We're literally shifting the criteria team to team rather than holding one consistent. If you're invoking quality losses, then invoke it when it comes to Alabama. They lost to FSU. No, then the conversation changes to quality wins. It's clear as day what's been happening over the last month. Been trying to open
Is
your
it
eyes
clear
to
as day? Is it clear as day? Because Jeremy, you're not listening to Mario when he says head-to-head. You're still here arguing for James Madison and invoking Old Dominion. Jeremy, you do not believe with a straight face that Miami is not one of the 12 best teams in the country. You don't believe that.
12 best teams in the country is not the conversation that I thought we were doing this based off merit. If you're going to constantly argue that the singular game between Miami and Notre Dame, they settled it on the
merit.
field. Who won more games?
That's merit.
Who's winning more of their games? There's a team that's going to be a conference champion. There's going to be a conference champion that is excluded from this conversation in a 12-team playoff. Of course, unless Duke ultimately beats Virginia, in which case the ACC should not have a single team in the playoff, if that's the case, including Miami, because BYU would get in there. James Madison would all of a sudden become an automatic qualifier with either Tulane or North Texas. Virginia shouldn't make it. And as you can see here, Duke, LMAO.
All right, Jeremy, thank you for your contributions. The argument I would make, all right, this is just, I am indeed a little late to this, so my humble apologies in not articulating this way earlier, because I have failed the region and my alma mater in whatever it is that I aspire to around neutrality. But my argument in 2025, after many years of watching championship football in this market, taught to me by this program, okay? My argument for the computers and the voters and however it is anyone measures this stuff, whether it's Herb Street or Feinbaum or however it is that the advanced metrics are measuring sports better than ever today. My argument in 2025, after 40 years of experience in this market, is my argument on behalf of Miami is, look at them! Just look at them!
Or the most obvious one, they beat the other team.
No, but just look at them going up and down the field, mauling people on the offensive side of the football, only to get bleeped where their coaches will bleep it up because they're obviously, look at them! Look at them physically. They're stronger than everyone they're playing.
I just had an epiphany watching Jeremy do that, fairly uninterrupted. I was on the FPI College Football Playoff Predictor, and Miami's chances actually went up as Jeremy was talking.
Really?
And I think that this is a bold new strategy. We should put out, let me reach out to Cam Gorby over at the University of Miami.
Go on.
Instead of having Mario Cristobal do post-game interviews where he's saying the obvious, we should actually hire Jeremy to make an argument against us, because I think it actually helps Miami's case.
I think it's a good strategy.
Yes. He is that unlikable.
No, it's not.
He finds a way to make Miami's case more compelling when he argues against it. Hear me out. I think this is the way.
Numbers literally went up 3% while he was talking.
The more he talks, the more people like Miami. Keep it going, Jeremy.
I lost my power button to hit him with the stop talking because the power went out earlier in the segment, during his segment, as he just stopped doing.
How about us?
That was the Lord. That was the Lord showing us a path. We can't cut off Jeremy. He must keep speaking.
Jeremy, are the Heat broadcasts so lean and mean that there's never a mistake where the power goes out?
There's never been a mistake on a Heat broadcast. No, not by me or anyone else.
Wow.
Other than the action being like 4 seconds out of Eric Reed. I mean, jeez.
Wow.
He's looked at him. He's pissed off, and I don't think this is about him being unlikable. I think the moment that you mentioned...
Oh, you don't?
No, this is what I would say.
Not this time.
We're finally giving him the usage rate he wants. Give him more. Feed him the rock. I need him there.
The argument on the other side of it, once you've gotten to, I concede on Notre Dame, you guys are the same, and I can't do it head-to-head. I'm going to make the argument around head-to-head, right. And here I'm going to go get James Madison. I'm going to go get James Madison, and what I'm going to look at and say to people is, an Old Dominion beat Virginia Tech by more than Miami did.
That was good shit, Jeremy. You keep doing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hey, look.
I love that point.
Losing to Louisville, you both did the same thing, except Miami also has another loss.
Louisville.
And there's going to be a conference champion right here staring you in the face. There's also going to be Texas that has a bunch of good wins.
Texas?
3 top 15 wins right there.
Jeremy.
Now, they have a loss that Miami beat. So I won't include them. They have Alabama, FSU. Hey, I thought you wanted me getting the usage rate up.
No, I'm saying, but you just mentioned Texas, which went to overtime with Kentucky, a team that just lost to Louisville.
And they lost to Florida.
A team that just lost to Louisville 41-0. That team, Kentucky, took Texas to overtime.
Oh, now we're not even doing the results of the game. We're doing if they went to overtime. Do you want to talk about the first quarter against Florida in the Swamp? I mean, what are we doing?
Texas also lost to Florida in the Swamp, a team that Miami thoroughly dominated. It's just like, out of all your metrics, when you want to invoke Old Dominion and you want to do common opponent stuff, the most obvious common opponent thing is head-to-head.
Okay, then I won't do that. I won't do that. I'll do. James Madison's going to be 11-1, 12-1, and win a conference championship.
You can't win an argument against this. You're losing to Mario Cristobal with your charts.
The number one criteria for anything.
And your whiteboard and your Kevin Spacey and 7.
For anything.
I am white and making you bored.
Manifestos.
Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. In 1795, Cuervo invented tequila.
Cuervo.
What are you doing here?
Cuervo. Anytime someone says Cuervo, I show up.
Well, I do know that to be true, but even during ad reads, like
Cuervo.
I think you could lay out, especially for one of our great partners.
Sweet, delicious Cuervo.
Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. The same family, the same land, the same passion.
Cuervo.
So, enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo.
Cuervo.
The tequila that invented tequila. Proximo. Cuervo.com. Please drink responsibly.
Cuervo.